When we hear about blockchain technologies, we have many questions. What is it? Why do we need it? And how does it work? In order to figure out the essence of this, you first need to understand the basic terms, key projects, and how we can take part in our decentralized future today. If you still don't know what dApp, Web 3.0 are, how the graph makes life easier for developers, and how we can participate together in the development of the project, maintain the network, and earn money, continue watching this video. Here we try to talk in simple language about what seems difficult. How is dApp different from other apps? dApp is a decentralized application. An app is not owned by a company or individual, and so it is not subject to that entity's whim when it comes to things like censorship, which features or content are added. From a hardware perspective, it is also not required that the entity buys, builds, and maintains that infrastructure. A dApp can be governed in a truly decentralized way. If you own a token, you own a vote. This provides a degree of freedom from things like censorship, although it is still possible that individuals could vote to remove content. But it would be a community decision. What is Web 3.0? Web 3 is the next evolution of the Internet. We first had Web 1, which is read-only, with static websites and limited usability. Then came Web 2, with read and write functionality, the current Internet. At this stage, we saw user-generated content, social media, and e-commerce. Due to the client-server architecture of Web 2, we have witnessed privacy issues. Cryptography and game theory, using blockchain and the network, allow to use an alternative to the current Internet and solve the problems of Web 2. The spread of Web 3 is accelerating day by day, and more users are entering the industry. The task of the Graph project is to help many products move from centralized Web 2 to decentralized Web 3. How can Graph be used in real life? Any dApp that needs meaningful access to on-chain data need to continually buy and use the Graph. The Graph is a protocol for organizing blockchain data and making it easily accessible. It's powering many of the most used applications. For a better understanding of how this works in real life, imagine dApp Tinder. Let's say you are building Tinder on the blockchain, and you want to show users their matches. Anytime a user goes to the Matches tab in your Tinder dApp, you would have several options for how to display this data to the user. You could search the Ethereum network block by block, looking for matches between these users. This would obviously take a very long time. Lastly, you could simply purchase the data you need for your users from the Graph. There are other use cases too. For example, if a dApp wants to provide others with access to their own data, they could build their own indexer, querying layer, and then they would have to maintain that indefinitely. Or they could simply build a subgraph and direct users to it. What's the difference between indexing and querying? Think of indexing just like the index in the back of a textbook. The book contains a lot of information, and you may need to quickly find a particular piece of it. You could scan the book, page by page, looking for what you need, or you could go to the back of the book, find the reference with the exact page number, and then turn to that page. This is identical to how databases work. Developers dump millions and millions of rows of information into the blockchain, and there becomes this need to create indexes for quick lookups. This is a bit of an oversimplification, but that's the job the indexers at the Graph perform every day. Querying, on the other hand, is simply looking up data. Going back to the Tinder dApp example, querying is showing a user their matches. Being more technical, a query is a GraphQL API call made to the Graph network. What is a subgraph? In order to develop decentralized applications, developers need access to accurate and reliable pools of data, called subgraphs, which are created by extracting information held on a blockchain or a storage network. You could say a subgraph is a set of instructions on how to extract, index, and query a particular dApp's information from the blockchain. Anyone can create and publish subgraphs, which are open APIs that applications can request using GraphQL. Subgraphs make it easier for developers to create blockchains. What Google does for search, the Graph does for blockchains. Why is this so valuable to developers? At the moment, teams working on dApps have to write a ton of code and deploy index servers to serve applications efficiently. But it is not worth the time, effort, or money. If a developer tasked with building a site, he doesn't need to invent a web browser, a database, or computers. It is necessary to use those tools that already exist and will help him to more effectively cope with the task. So, the graph helps decentralized applications in serving users and makes the life of developers a lot easier. With the graph, developers can create serverless applications that run entirely on a public infrastructure. How can you participate in a project and earn money? The graph network consists of indexers, curators, and delegators that provide services to the network and serve data to applications. Consumers use the applications and consume the data. To ensure economic security of the graph network and the integrity of data being queried, participants stake and use graph tokens, or GRT. GRT is a work token that is an ERC20 on the Ethereum blockchain, used to allocate resources in the network. Active indexers, curators, and delegators can provide services and earn income from the network, proportional to the amount of work they perform and their GRT stake. This topic is very interesting and definitely deserves a separate video, in which we will tell you in detail how to become an indexer, curator, or delegator, how much they can earn, and why it is so cool to become a member of the graph community.